Our final presenter is Jared Richardson. He is a graduating senior in the Media Arts program here at BYU. He specializes in post-production sound and has worked the past couple of years doing sound design and mixing for BYU TV on shows like Studio C and Relative Race. His hobbies include playing video games, amateur voice acting and directing, and spending time with his sweetheart, Mariah, who will be marrying him this June. Congratulations. His presentation is entitled Let's Plays, an Intertextual Performance. So please welcome Jared.
Thank you. So I'm presenting my research on Let's Plays and specifically how they are an intertextual performance. So first of all, what is a Let's Play? I really like the way Thomas Hale put it, a method by which video game players record themselves commenting on gameplay for an online audience. So basically, someone who is playing a video game, and you can see the video game, and you can see or hear the player as they're playing it. The format and length can vary from person to person. It could be a series, it could just be a video, but you always have those elements. You have the game, you have the person playing it. And they're really popular, so much so that the #1 YouTube subscribed channel is PewDiePie, and that he is a Let's Player. So why is there so much attention to that? Why don't we just play video games instead of watching people play them? Well, the first thing to know about Let's Plays is that they're very interactive. Video games obviously are interactive, they're an interactive medium, and no playthrough is the same, right? Even for fairly linear games, depending on the person playing it, a video game can be very different. Add in the fact that there's, context that can change, such as if someone is speedrunning a game, they're going to play it completely different than someone who's casually playing it. Likewise, someone who's a seasoned veteran who's played this game a bunch of times is going to play it a lot more different than someone who's going in blind if this is the first time they've ever played a video game. And then also the audience can have a role as well. The comments, the discussion, the forums, the fans can come up with inside jokes, and they can, some Let's Players are like, hey guys, what should I do next? And the people watching decide. So they're interactive, so there's that aspect. Secondly, they're intertextual. Intertextual meaning there are two media texts. Like I said, you have the game itself, and then you have the person playing the game, specifically a windowed version of that person playing, or audio commentary of them playing it. And when you combine those together, you create a personalized remix. Just like any type of fandom media, a Let's Play is essentially someone's own spin on the game, on the existing media text. And it's at this point where the company, the corporate entity that created this game, it's becoming less their property and more the person playing it, because they're putting this new intertextual media out there. Finally, Let's Plays are a performance. The people playing these games, they're reactionary. They're reacting to these games. They're putting in commentary. A lot of the times, it might be that they're really skilled. Like I said, if it's a speed run, they're going to play it and they're showing off how quick they can get through a game. Or it can be more fan-driven, but typically it's about the comedy. It's usually people watch Let's Players they think are funny, that they think are outrageous. I have that quote by Nicholas Nyland that they are, by definition, presented works made by performers for an audience. In order to perform, you have to don something called a persona. Just a little video game joke for those of you that. By a persona, what do I mean by that? I mean that a persona is a stage presence. It is basically a sense, I would say, a skin almost, a mask you put on for your audience. They're presenting themselves. PewDiePie in the top left there, maybe he's a crazy pyromaniac, maybe he's not, but either way, he's gonna put these thumbnails on to show you, whoa, outrageous, I swear a lot. That's one of his appeals. And then you have people like Chuck Conroy and Markiplier and Game Grumps. And then you have what I think is even more interesting, people who don personas in create a literal character. So Arlo, right there in the middle, he's one of my favorites. He is a blue talking puppet. Whenever you see him in a video, that is Arlo. And I actually had the opportunity to interview Arlo online, which was a really cool experience. He's got about 300,000 subscribers, I think, and one of his channels is a Let's Play channel. And I asked him if he viewed himself as basically how what's the right word, authentic he was being when he appeared on screen. And he said something really interesting. He told me, real life, quote, real life me and YouTube me are a little different. Real life me can be a little more cynical, and he gets upset a little more often. YouTube me is always upbeat and fun, though. I think that attitude is what a lot of my fans like about me. So I make sure to let real life me slip through as little as possible. And don't think that means YouTube me is fake or anything. He's really just the better part of me, the one I wish I could be all the time. And so, like I said, these personas, they're playing up their own reactions. There is a level of them being themselves, for sure. But it's also, like I said, when you go onto a stage, even as yourself, even right now, I'm trying to be in presenter mode. I'm trying to be talk loud and get your attention because I want you to fall asleep. But I'm still, hopefully, I'm still trying to be true to myself. And so that's how he viewed it, and I thought that was really interesting. There's a parallel I'd like to make in classic cinema. In the early age of silent films, particularly the 1920s, silent films in Japan were often accompanied by a Bedsheet, a presenter who would stand next to the screen and speak throughout the film. Bensheets functioned as both narrators and performers, watching the film with the audience, providing voices for the characters on screen, and even occasionally adding their own commentary as the story progressed. In this way, they provided something very different compared to a typical movie-going experience, one where the audience engages with the film and the live performer simultaneously. And Bensheets were so popular. So much so that the transition into synchronized sound was delayed by at least a decade, maybe two. Because they were so popular. People didn't go to the cinema to see movies. They went to see a Bedsheet. They went to see the performer. And as you can imagine, having a performer up there can completely change the way the film is viewed. Because like I said, they're adding their own commentary. They're saying, oh, this is what I think about this as it goes. Again, this is silent cinema. So basically you're taking their word for it and you're watching it and you're seeing it through their lens. If a director makes a film, a Hollywood film, and sends it overseas to Japan, their authorial, how do I say that? Their author's intent would it might not come through as well because of the Bedsheet. And as you can imagine, Let's Players are very similar. Once a game is filtered through, when you're viewing a game through someone else's play, that can completely change what you think of it. One last quote I'd like to read. The historical Bedsheet had leeway to improvise the script, precisely because the performance was live, non-reproducible, and unrepeatable. And even though we can repeat YouTube videos, I think it's just really interesting to see how a Let's Player can change the way a text is viewed. So as an example, this is a very ghetto video film compilation of some Let's Players. I'm only going to play 10 seconds. This is a video game called Slender Man, which is if you're familiar with that, it's a horror game where you're followed around by a creepy tall figure in the distance. And whenever you turn around, you might see it, and it's scary. And I just want to play you this clip so you can just pay attention to these guys' reactions as they're playing it. Again, I'm only going to play 10 seconds. It's not scary, don't worry.
Have we established that? Oh.
Get out of it, get out of it. I'm sure he'll fall it from behind rather than in front.
So, I heard some giggles. This horror game is now a comedy, right? We're seeing these reactions to them. We're seeing them make these funny noises as they're playing, and we're not scared. We're just laughing. This is like the perfect example of how the media text, the original media text, can be transformed. It can be remixed into something completely different depending on who's playing it. So, To wrap things up, Let's Plays are an intertextual performance. They have two media texts, and you have the Let's Player themselves who is performing. Let's Players use personas, a stage presence, to appeal to their intended audience, and by so doing, they can change the way a game is interpreted.